Democratic Senatorial Campaign Committee and Chuck Schumer. It's a racket, and the bad guys, the guys pushing the ball, are the politicians. But I want to step back to the businesses. Is it okay to play ball like this? This isn't a question of in the early Catholic Church history, there's a bunch of martyrs, people who were being put at the sword and told to renounce Christ, and they said no, and they got killed for it. And I always revered them, and then somebody asked me, would I do the same? You hear these stories about these people kidnapped in Afghanistan, and a gun put to their head, and all you have to do is say, Allah is great, or something. I was saying, I've got 4 kids. I think I would say that, and I think God would forgive me if I said that. So I don't think you need to be a martyr. But if you do need to play the game, if you do need to have a seat at the table, as it said in this, maybe your seat at the table can be one of pushing back hard. Maybe your seat at the table can be actually looking towards the long term of your company and the whole economy. And you know what? This might sound scary to some libertarians out there, but taking a moral stand. Just because a way of making a profit is legal doesn't mean it's morally acceptable. If your mayor comes to you and says, "Oh, you see Microsoft's building over there on 9th and K, you guys can have that because we think you guys at Cato are going to do better with that property there at 9th and K. So you guys can have that property." And you think, "Oh, or that's good." And if I shouldn't talk about shareholders at Cato. Deer Park Water. So Deer Park Water, you guys can have that. Oh, and you have an obligation to your shareholders, don't you, to maximize profit. So if somebody's going to steal land from Microsoft and sell it to you at a discount, shouldn't you take that? I don't think you should. I think businesses ought to take the moral stand. That doesn't mean they shouldn't hire lobbyists. That doesn't mean they shouldn't give campaign contributions. It does mean whatever access they're buying with those seats at the table, however, and I think they should feel a little gross about buying those seats at the table, but once they get the seat at the table, they should push for economic liberty. Because economic liberty is not just something that we fight for. We fight for because we believe in it. We believe, A, that it maximizes prosperity, and that's good, but B, because it's simply immoral to use force or the threat of force to profit at somebody else's expense. So that's my little moralism, and I'll end quickly with a note about sort of my thoughts on the potential solutions. Because I get asked about this a lot. And I have a lot of liberals who kind of like me. I'm actually an MSNBC contributor, and we agree on the problems, and then we come to the solutions. I say, no, your campaign finance laws, even your lobbying controls, I think are misguided. But Matt's worry was about what undermines liberty. I think the way to get around what undermines liberty is to regulate not business, not lobbyists, but government. I would get rid of the whole thing where lobbyists have to register at all. And I would just say, if you're a Capitol Hill staffer of enough seniority, or you're a congressman, or you're a federal regulator, you have to disclose every contact you have with anybody who's trying to influence you on your policy. I think that would be a good way of bringing transparency and imposing no burden on any of the companies. And I'd be for revolving door restrictions, not as a way of controlling what lobbyists do or whom a company can hire, but saying this is a condition of your working for government. And we've got that now. You've got to wait a couple of years before you can lobby your agency if you're a staffer or a congressman. I would say if you're a congressman or a cabinet member, you're never allowed to lobby on anybody else's behalf again. Of course, you can petition government for the redress of your own grievances. And obviously I see ways around this, but at least you could be a Tom Daschle, or maybe you could even buy a share in a company and then there'd be your grievances and get around it. But in any event, at least building some barriers and placing the burden on government. And through that, and I think the revolving door is one of the more corrupting aspects of it, but through regulating the heck out of government, we can conceivably crack down on some of the unseemly collusion that happens between rent-seeking, subsidy-stifling big business and power-hungry politicians. Thank you.